Hello and welcome to today's Coach on a Couch. Today I've been really thinking about one specific evolution pattern in Team Topologies, and it's one that recently, and especially in the last day or two, has come up in a number of different contexts. And some of that is I see it more because I'm thinking about it, of course. But the relevancy of it and the habit it creates for positive organizational growth is one that makes it really important to look at. So if you're not familiar, just to be clear, this is the book Team Topologies, Matthew Skelton and Manuel Pais. And the pattern I'm interested in is in figure 8 around evolutionary patterns. And it's a streamlined team and a platform team that need to work together very closely to solve a very specific problem. And they don't know the solution. So they're working together almost like they're a single team in order to understand, figure out the domain structure, figure out even what APIs are necessary. And as they move forward in the process of discovery and delivering value, at a certain point, they need to collaborate a little less. The APIs become established, they're still evolving, but it's kind of clear where the domain boundaries are and what the concerns are and roughly where the responsibilities are allocated. And they're still finalizing that pattern, but they're not acting like a single team. There's a collaboration relationship between two distinct teams. And then at a certain point, that pattern and that API becomes so well established that it moves to an as-a-service relationship. So the yellow stream-aligned team is consuming the service from the blue platform team, but they don't need to collaborate to do so. It's not a scheduled design time like build it together dependency. It's a I'm consuming your services and I can treat you as a service provider. And that's really healthy behavior. What's interesting is how this plays out in scale and the number of different scenarios I've seen it, well outside of software. So as an instructor, I was talking to somebody who was thinking about establishing courseware that others could teach. And there's this process of collaborating closely between the knowledge provider and the instructional designer to get the content built and practice delivering it and evolving it. And over time, it becomes well enough established that it becomes an optimization process of making it easier and easier for others to deliver it as a service. And other instructors can come in and take that service. And meanwhile, the SME is subject matter expert is moving into a different space. Fitness, I work with a trainer, that person gets to know me, contextualizes my need, my body, what I'm trying to achieve, starts to understand my habits, builds the program, we practice, and at a certain point, it's no longer this close collaboration to discover, and here's your next program, here's your next thing, and I'm consuming it as a service. As we practice with streaming and recording, like there's this collaboration Mark and I have done that is about discovering this approach and getting the nuance, figuring out what works for us and practicing it. And now we're getting to the point that the pattern is well established enough that the streaming setup can just be deployed as a JSON file, a few files get remapped to the local drive, adjust the source a little bit, and it's kind of up and running and people can pick it up and use it easily as a service. And of course, that happens all over the place in software too. Typical service platform development. This is a great pattern for Lace to use to go in and help a team closely, but as you establish patterns for a given subdomain of the company, the patterns and practices just become easier and easier, and you can almost just deploy them in a self-service environment, but you can't do that until it's established, until you've done that discovery and established things. Quick warning on that one, if you move to the wrong domain and people are treating it as a simple or obvious problem or even complicated, but not thinking through the context and whether the stuff applies, you're going to get the wrong results. So especially if you're talking about framework deployment with Safe or Scrum or something like that, make sure you include that context very clearly, or the reductionist approach will get you a mechanical implementation that may or may not even solve the problems you're trying to solve. And then I really saw this pattern in action secondhand, thirdhand, 15 years ago with the software development engineers and test at Google and the way they taught the skills across Google and learned these skills, deployed them using the testing on the toilet, and really just built a tool to help all the teams in the enterprise treat this thing as a service. And I think that's the real power as I think about this, the implications of this pattern, is by collaborating with the experts and the people with the need very closely, you learn a lot. But having the discipline to end that collaboration with as a service relationship where you aren't necessary all the time, that's the real skill. And if I move this to coaching, learning how to establish these capabilities, get people practicing, and remove the dependency on the coach as a service, that is the important step to get to self-sufficient, sustaining agility. So anyway, just bringing this back together, thinking about team topologies and really focusing on that evolution pattern. In fact, I want to leave that on the screen here because this transition is something that just keeps coming up. And when you think across time as a coach, when you think about working together closely to discover, stepping back a little bit as it becomes established, and then making sure it's left as a service that doesn't require that ongoing collaboration. It's such a powerful pattern, and it's something that I think can make a lot of engagements better for us. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a phenomenal day wherever you are.